Hello. Hey, this is Aaron LeBauer with the CashPT Blueprint, LeBauerConsulting.com, and the CashPT Lunch Hour. Thank you all for joining us today. I'm really excited to have you guys here. Just please let us know if the volume is okay. And remember, this is a live Google Hangout. So if for any reason your browser goes crazy or shuts down or we time out, just refresh your browser. If something happens, just click the refresh and come back into the show. And you will all get an email at the end. If you miss anything or something happens, you'll get an email after the show that has the show replay. And you can always check onto my blog, LeBauerConsulting.com. And in a few weeks, I'll put up the show replay and the show notes there. So I just have, I'm just really excited to introduce Jamey Schrier. I've met Jamey back at CSM, but I'd been interacting with him prior to that over the internet, and I'm really excited. Jamey has a practice and is a Jamey's a physical therapist, and he's a private practice owner, and he's had some major things happen in his life that have changed things, and so I want to introduce him by saying, welcome, Jamey. Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. And it's awesome to have you here.
Thanks, Aaron. Man, I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah. So just to introduce everybody to you, tell us a little bit about when you became a PT, why physical therapy, and how'd you get into private practice?
Oh man. So I'll kind of start with why physical therapy. In college, I went to University of Delaware. Basically, it's like a story that a lot of us talk about. I hurt myself. I play basketball and stuff like that, and I hurt myself. And I went to the doctor there on campus, and the doctor basically said, put on an air cast, and I walked around with crutches, and my ankle just swelled up like a freaking balloon, and it was so painful. And then I ran into one of my buddies who was on one of the sports teams. He said, why don't you just come down to the training room? And I said, I thought that was like for the real athletes. I'm like, nah, just come down. So I actually started off in Delaware being an athletic trainer. And then in all honesty, I said, well, how much can a trainer make when you graduate? And they're like, oh, $30,000. I said, yeah, that ain't going to be enough for where I live. What's the next thing? Because I like working with the body and learning all the bones and the muscles and movements. And they said, well, physical therapy. And they said, well, you have to know a lot of sciences. And at the time, I wasn't very good at science. So I said, all right, well, I'll give it a try. So ended up going to PT school at the University of Maryland in '95. Knew I was going to open up a practice, just kind of played around, was director and all that, and then I finally just said, I want to do this on my own. I don't want anyone telling me what to do. I want to make my own hours. I want to make crazy amounts of money. And then I realized I woke up and I was in private practice because at the time, none of those things were actually true. You don't own your time, and you don't make tons of money unless you do certain things. So what's interesting is a few years after that, after the stress started, and all those things that if everyone's watching here has been in private practice, that just there's a lot of responsibility that we all have, and besides treating and taking care of the patients, which all of us can do, or we wouldn't be able to go out on our own and survive. It's now you got to deal with other people and other personalities and all of the laws and regulations, and you're just kind of learning on the run. Hopefully it's not costing you too much to learn these lessons, but that stress really gets to you, and our natural thing is to just do everything ourselves. And that was me. And what the big kind of eye-opener was for me is in 2004 in October, we had a fire. There was an electrical problem next to my suite in a bathroom, and my entire suite burned down. And to be honest, Aaron, it was actually a blessing in disguise, because I wasn't very happy, and there was no way I was going to continue along this path. So after that, I had to make a decision. Do I want to go back to where I was and just continue to be miserable, make okay money, I guess, but not great? Or do I want to just maybe do something else? Maybe physical therapy is not my game. Maybe it's something else. I don't know. All my friends were in mortgages and all this other stuff that seemed to be pretty cool. Or just maybe build a business that delivered physical therapy, and just kind of change my mindset. So I chose the third one, and spent the next 9 years doing that. And then in 2013, I was able to completely buy back all the time and the freedom, and created a practice that really runs on its own. I'm still involved with it, but I don't have to be there day to day, which was my ultimate goal.
Wow, awesome. That's great.
That's a mouthful.
I know, so many places to start. I mean, I can't imagine how devastating that would be for all that. I mean, well, it is only stuff, but everything to kind of burn down. It's kind of like a blank slate again, right?
Sometimes that's good. Sometimes throwing out everything and starting over allows you to let go of the past a little bit and focus on what do I want in the future and what do I have to do right now. So, the hardest thing is I had these perfectly plaqued diplomas that I got as gifts. They're all trashed. The computer's gone. All the notes and everything gone. So it kind of simplified my life because I was like, I really didn't have any notes to do. I didn't have anything to do. So
yeah, it's like the stuff in the attic that you haven't looked at in 10 years. Is it important, or does it have any meaning to your life, or not? Is it adding?
It was spring cleaning and one fell swoop is what it was.
Right. So did you, when you started, did you just go right back to with this? Did you create a brand new game plan and like a new outline or new business model, or before you even started coming back in and rebuilding, or what did you do?
Yeah.
What was that process like?
Prior to that, it's funny. In college, I hate to read. In high school, I hate to read. But once I started reading things I was really interested in and passionate about, I started reading books, and I've shared with this before about the books that were kind of influential to me. And one was The E-Myth by Michael Gerber, and another was Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, and there were some others. But the second book that Robert Kiyosaki actually was more impactful than the first book. It was called The Cash Flow Quadrant, and basically just showed how money comes into your life. And money comes in one of four ways: either as an employee, that's one part of the quadrant; self-employed, that's another; as a business owner; or as an investor. And I realized that I was stuck in self-employed, which means you're kind of trading time for money. You are the business. I mean, even if you have a couple employees, you're still there 24/7. And that was just like sticking with me even before, which probably caused, in retrospect, probably caused me to feel more stressed, because I knew there was more out there, and I was frustrated that I didn't know how to do it.
Right.
Because I'm smart, and I went to school, and I paid a lot of money, and I didn't know how to do it, and I felt like I should know how to do it. So it was kind of that frustration of where I was and where my mind thought I should be.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really the big eye-opener of once this happened, I said, you know what? Does it really matter how long it's going to take me? I'm going to create a business of physical therapy, but I don't want 100 practices. I don't want to get into that game. That's not me. I wanted to do it on a small scale. I had a couple clinics. Well, at the time I had one. Now I have two. I was like, can I just do it with a couple small clinics, but use all the principles and kind of figure it out? So that's what kind of prompted me to do it. So I went back with first that mindset, and then second, always challenging myself of what would have to happen in order for me to move closer to that vision of me not having to be at work. My goal was like one day.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what happened. It wasn't like a well thought out plan. Don't get me wrong. It was nothing like that. It was just more of a seed there that I was like, this is what I'm going to do.
Did you have a time frame in mind, or a goal, like a specific goal?
I had lots of time frames, and after they went by, I created another time frame. I mean, time frames are great, but one of the challenges that I learned with time frames is I was making unbelievable progress towards this vision. Although I wasn't doing it because I'm impatient, I have impatience and ADD and all that kind of stuff. I wasn't doing it as fast as I wanted to, but what I was doing is I was discounting the progress I was making. I think a lot of us do that. We feel that if we don't achieve certain goals in a time, we're failures. And the reality is I achieved like 85% of what I wanted, but my mindset was, you're a failure. So we have to redo the time frame and redo the time frame. Right now, I don't operate that much on time frames because of that. I do a little bit, and I talk about that in my 90-day sprints.
Yeah.
But it's more of time is really something that's made up in our own heads. What I realized, I can achieve things that are 10 times faster than someone else achieves them if I do different things to achieve them 10 times faster. So during that period, I was just doing things that were moving me forward to where I want to go, but because I had such unrealistic expectations, I always felt like a failure. So to answer your question, I'll try to get back to answer your question, of course, was, yeah, I had time frame after time frame after time frame that just kept going further and further out. And instead of focusing on that, I started to transfer my focus on what do I have to do right now, today, to move me forward for tomorrow, instead of looking so far out and just being disappointed when that time came and went, and I was like, man, I wasn't anywhere near what I thought I should.
Right. Is it because you weren't achieving perfection, like that 100%, versus being satisfied with 85%?
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about perfectionist mindset. I mean, I have a perfectionist mindset. I struggle with it today. I really try not to have this mindset, and I do lots of things to appreciate where I am and the progress I'm making. But what I've started to see with other business owners, one of the things that we all have, especially I call them smart business owners, we're in the smart profession. I would imagine most of the people that are attending this or will listen to it have high-level degrees in physical therapy or maybe some other profession, but smart professions, well, that smart profession comes with a perfectionist mindset. I have to be right, because that's what's being promoted in your education. You're not rewarded for being wrong. Well, in the business world, you're actually rewarded for being wrong, because you're not going to be right. There's a saying I have: be imperfectly perfect. Make imperfect actions. Just know that it's going to be imperfect no matter what you do, but as long as you get things into motion and keep things moving, you're going to make more of an impact than you ever were just overthinking it and think, well, I would really do this, Aaron, if I knew it was going to work, but I need to sit and think for about another 2 years and then I'll be ready. That was me going through the process, which is why it took me 9 years. It's not taking people 9 years to get their crazy ideal dreams of their practices now. It's taking some people weeks or months, and it's because they're just skipping all of that. They're not going through the mental, I call them the mental gyrations, because that's kind of a nicer word than saying mental masturbation. But I don't know.
Yeah, this is live Google. It doesn't matter. It's not NBC.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I mean, I would just sit there and mentally masturbate. Again, I'm just thinking, and it's like, it's so much easier to think about than it is actually to do it, but the results aren't there. So, no idea what your question was, but
that's okay. I think
I'll get to it.
I think the censor-friendly word is perseverating, and maybe that's an SAT word.
Jesus, man, I didn't even get 1,000 on my SATs, so don't start doing that. And I took Latin for 3 years.
Awesome. Okay, so one of the things I want to ask you is, I want you to explain when someone says, you should spend some time working on your business and not just in your business. Explain what's the difference between working on your business and working in your business.
Okay, I'll first explain where that came from, then I'll explain how I incorporate it into my practice.
Sounds great.
So that was something that Michael Gerber came up with in his book, The E-Myth. If you haven't read it, it's a great book. It's very simple. It's just about a story of a woman who owns a pie shop. But there's lots of nuggets and principles in there. So he coined this, work on your business, not in it. The way that works for moi in my practice is working in my business is me as a physical therapist treating patients. I am in the business working, generating revenue, making it happen. It's also me doing staff meetings. It's also me doing bookkeeping. It's also me answering the phones and me scheduling patients and me visiting doctors or whoever your referral sources are. That's working in the business, right? The simplest way is you are treating, okay? Working on your business is looking at your business as this entity that you want to continue to build and grow. So you spend time just thinking about what it is that you want, strategizing of where you want to go, creating processes and systems about how to make sure that something can be done that's reproducible and replicatable, so you don't have to kind of reinvent it every time a problem comes up. So working on your business is thinking more than doing. Working in your business is a heck of a lot more doing. That's the way I look at it. Can I respond to something I'm seeing on the slide here?
Yeah.
Somebody says, Jamey, your fan reflection looks like a halo. I like that. I'm like, oh. Sorry, I just wanted to bring that up.
That's awesome. So,
come on, Aaron. You knew what you were getting when you brought me on. Which
right.
It's my last time, but I'm going to use it for everything it's worth.
Yeah. Awesome. So, I think someone might hear that and go, okay, but wait a minute, Jamey, I don't have enough time to do that. I'm only treating patients. All I can do is treat patients. How can someone create time, or can you tell us or lead us through an example or a little exercise? How does someone, a business owner, say, wait a minute, I don't have any time. I need to create some time, but I've got to do all this stuff. I've got all these responsibilities.
Okay. All right. That is a awesome question, because that is the question, right?
Yeah.
How do I do something with the time that I have? We all have, believe it or not, Aaron, the same amount of time, right? Let me get semi-serious here. Not too serious, because I want to keep it fun, but I want to get semi-serious. You, Aaron, and I, and everyone listening, and the billionaires out there, and the millionaires, and the Trumps of the world have exactly the same amount of time. And what they do, how they look at their time, how they value their own time, and how they choose, and I use that word very specifically, how they choose to use their time, and what physically they do in their time is what makes the difference of the results they have compared to somebody else. So, the question you just said, how does someone that says, I don't have enough time to do this, that mindset alone is already putting you at a disadvantage. I'm going to share something, if you don't mind, that I teach in my workshops. And these people pay a lot of money to come to these. And I'm going to share this concept, because I think this concept will kind of put it into context. And then I'll give some specifics of what you can do, because people want, okay, what do I specifically do? So the context is this. It's called the power formula. All right? And the power formula is our thoughts, the language that we use, our words, and our actions 100% determine results that we have. 100%. So, Aaron, I guarantee exactly how you think and the language and the words that you use in your everyday speak and the actions you have taken has brought you to this moment in time. It's a no-brainer, right? Of course it did. So if you want to change the results you're getting, then there's 3 things you can do. You can change your thinking, right? Think differently. Have different thoughts. Get other ideas in your head. Look at things differently. You can start using different language. You can start using words differently. There's another concept, I won't get into this, but there's another thing I think I talk about called the 7 dirty words. And these are basically vague words that we all use that help nobody. And then the third thing is take action. Imperfect action, but take action, then learn from it. Because that will teach you more than anything else. So the thoughts that millionaires and billionaires have, the language they use, the people they associate, the books they read, the mentors they have, and the actions they take without mentally gyrating is the reason they are where they are. It's not because of really anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So how does that apply to someone that is like, give me an example of some of the challenges or struggles that your clients have. And then we'll apply that formula, and I'll show you exactly how to do that.
Right, right. It's a great question. So one of the
look
biggest,
on your list. There's
right. Oh yeah, my list. You know, some of the biggest struggles people have is the value of what is physical therapy. You know, I'm not worth $100. People only want to pay $25 because they only want to pay their copay. That's the big struggle, that mindset of that we are providing something that should be valuable.
Yeah. And your population's so huge, right? Because you went from working, you meaning just the general you, just me understanding what your population is, yeah. People that own either partly or fully cash-based, which means we choose not to use insurance. It's a business. What you do, Aaron, is called a business.
Right.
Right? I mean, every business, except for our crazy world, basically people come in and they pay money for goods and services.
Right.
Right? What they're doing is exchanging value for value. My value is I'd rather have money from you instead of what it used to be, a cow or a chicken. I'd rather just barter with money. I'm going to give you in return something that you deem valuable. So ultimately, it's what the person that is purchasing the thing, ultimately, they determine what is valuable and what's not. Here's the problem. If the person that is selling the item, selling the service, does not view their services as valuable, then the person that's buying it won't either.
Right.
If you feel what you're doing is extremely valuable and you share the benefits of it, here are the results that you're going to get by doing this, by working with me, then that is going to help increase their perception of the value, and then they write checks, which is why people write big checks for Mercedes and smaller checks for Toyotas. It's a car. Logically, it gets you from point A to point B. But if you think people buy logic, you're crazy. I got my freaking Audi A6 in the driveway. You think I bought it because logically it helped me get from... No.
Right.
It was a goal I had. It was a feeling that I had when I was in it. It wasn't based on logic. So once you realize that, you realize what the value you're providing. I mean, think about it. You guys are providing something that is going to change people's lives. Not only change their lives, but change the lives of the people around them. Because if you physically can't do something, what's the pain that's associated with that thing?
Right.
So I think you have to sell yourself on the value that you have. Nobody else can. You have to sell yourself. Now, there's people that can help increase that confidence until you start seeing results. But can I share an exercise that I did?
Of course. Would love to.
I'm going to share a crazy exercise with you. Here's what I challenge your audience to do. Just for shits and giggles, right?
Yeah.
You said, what is it someone's charge? What's a typical charge that you hear, or what do you charge for a typical visit?
Oh, for in like a cash-based practice?
Yeah, for a visit.
Oh, yeah, let's say $125.
$125. Okay. So basically you're trading time for money, because most people I would imagine say, well, if I'm going to charge you $125 because of what I was taught and what people are telling me, it must mean I have to give you an hour's worth of service. I have no idea where that came from. I don't know what an hour means, because the patient or the client or the customer, whoever you're talking to, the person that's ultimately determining the value is going to determine on the results that they get.
Right.
If you make that the parameters versus the time we spend together. But if you think it's time that we spend together, then you can't scale that. And you're trading time for money. You're just an employee. That's all you are. You might be making more money. I know lawyers that make $500 an hour, but they work 12 hours a day. They're just highly paid employees. We call that self-employed when you actually own the business.
Right.
So one thing you can do, which is nothing's wrong with that, but just don't confuse that that's what you're doing. Don't think you own a business. You don't own a business. You have a job. and you're just getting paid a little bit more money. So there's two things you can do. You can just increase the amount of money you're paid, and if you're happy with that, that's cool. I did that. I just said, I get paid $89 for a visit. The first thing I did is saying, well, I'm not going to spend an hour with you because I've worked my butt off for learning a lot of really cool techniques. I can treat you in 10, 15 minutes. Well, the last place I was with spent an hour with me. I go, then what the hell are you doing here? Well, they didn't get me better. I mean, this is kind of how I would talk to some people that would challenge me. And I would like, then why are you here? Well, because I heard you can get me better. I go, then let me get you better the way I do it. That's what you're paying for. You're paying for the results you get. And that's what people want. So once you start shifting your mindset, your thoughts on results matter, then you'll skip all the crap that it's in the back of your head with, oh, I gotta spend an hour and all that, and you can focus on the results. Then it's a matter of what is someone willing to pay for the result.
Right.
So here's an exercise that I did. All right, and this was a pretty cool thing. So I was charging $89, like I said, per visit for out of pocket, and I had someone saying, "What's the most you've ever charged?" And the most I ever charged was like $165 for a visit. I charged like a few $100s for a package. He said, "Okay, what would make you feel uncomfortable?" I was like, "Well, I don't know. I'm uncomfortable selling that."
Right.
Would a couple $100s make you feel more uncomfortable? And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Good. I want you to charge $2,000 for your program." We had a running program for triathletes, and it included, treatment, but we do a little dry needling, we'll do a little this, we'll get you on the treadmill. I mean, it was like just a package of the stuff we already do, right? Mm-hmm. But we wanted to target people that weren't necessarily injured. I mean, they're always injured, but basically we didn't want to deal with insurance. And I basically promoted it and sold it in that fashion, believing that the program's $2,000 instead of $400 or $395. Guess what happened?
People bought it.
People bought it.
Yeah.
Guess what my new reality was? People valued what I could deliver for them.
Right.
My new reality just blew away my previous fear. And once that happened, it gave me confidence to continue the cycle. Not necessarily to keep increasing the cost, mm-hmm. but realize that there are people out there that want this product, that want this service. Right. So one of the things that would be a great exercise and a big takeaway from doing this to your people on the phone is charge triple the amount you do right now. Just charge triple. Add a couple bells and whistles. Uh-huh. Go to your current client and just say, look, I'm starting a new program. I think it would be perfect for you. And the program, you're going to get this, this, and this. We're going to add in a little bit of this, or you can go to someone new if you like. And the program is $395. We can charge it to your credit card or cash, whatever's easiest for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
All they're going to do is say one of two words. Yes? Well, three. Yes, no, I have a question first.
Right.
And then the rest of the game, because it really is just a game, if you believe in what you're doing and believe in the value that you're providing, it's just handling their objections. Yeah, but how long are you going to be with me? Well, it'll take as long as it takes. We're going to take care of you. I probably will be with you about 20 minutes to a half hour. Right. But if it needs to be longer, it will. But remember, how long it takes me to do something is not what you're paying me for. You're paying me for the results. I'll determine what needs to happen in order to get the results. Don't you just want to be able to move better? Don't you want to run faster? Don't you want to be able to pick up your kids without pain? Yeah. How about we focus on that? Mm-hmm. All you have to do is show up, do some of the stuff that I tell you, I'll handle the rest. To get there, all you have to do is write a check.
Right. Right. That's a good point.
That whole mindset shift and how I'm communicating that is thoughts, language, and then actions. Do you have the guts to actually do it and get some no's? Because you're going to get people to say no, mm-hmm. but what it's going to do is kind of get over that fear and allow you to move forward. That's the difference between the millionaires and billionaires and us. It's just those thoughts, language, and actions, which a lot of it's based on perfectionist attitude and fear.
Right, right. Amen. No, I
Woo!
hear you. That's awesome. That was great. That's like a gold mine, and I just like struck it rich right there. Everyone else listening, just like, phew. So yeah, go capture that behind your head and bring it back in and churn on that. That's awesome, Jamey. I think a big part of that is look, it's the mindset of the patient coming in for, yeah, it is. The patient comes in for an hour and you're like, I'm going to do to you for an hour and it's going to be $100, or let's focus on the things that you need to do to achieve. And I think that goes back into not even just business sales, but practice mastery. Like, how do you, as a physical therapist, help, set the appropriate goal for people and use that as the carrot and not, and also as the reward and the monetary and the monetary exchange. So you're exchanging the goal, like pick up your kids off the floor or play with your grandkids again, versus feeling better or moving your joint 90 degrees, that type of thing.
I'll tell you why we don't.
Yeah.
Because our training in learning how to do physical therapy in school does not train us to do that. We don't know how to do that.
Right.
We follow the rules that really are our Practice Act rules, and then as well as our state law rules, but that is not how you communicate with the individual. I have training programs in my own staff because I was sick of just repeating myself, so I just videoed myself doing it and saying, this is how you communicate with someone. I know you know how to deliver the technique, but no one's telling you how to put all of the stuff around it. Like muscles without fascia would be nothing, right?
Right.
They wouldn't be able to attach anywhere. They wouldn't have any kind of framework. Fascia is the framework of the body. So we learn all this stuff. I mean, I imagine people on this call have taken tens of thousands of dollars worth of courses, but I guarantee nobody's spent $1,000 on taking it. Well, how do you actually then incorporate that so someone else thinks it's valuable? No one cares how much you know. They want to know you care about them and not putting your own fears and your own ideals into their situation. One of the ways, I'll give another nugget here, one of the ways that I do this with my patients, where I used to do it with my patients, now I do it with clients, one of the things that I do is I help them by asking questions of, well, what exactly do you want? So patient would come in, here's how I do it. Hey, my name's Jamey, what's yours? Hey, I'm John. Hey, John, welcome to Schrier PT. So what brings you in? And they give me, my back hurts. I go, that's awesome. My back hurts too. But I guarantee that it's more than just your back hurts. Seriously, what's bringing you in here? What can I do? Well, I've been having this back pain. It's been going off and on. Yeah, so how's it affecting you? Well, I can't bend down. God, I bet it must be tough picking up your kids. Don't you have, I see that you have a couple kids. Yeah, I have a newborn. I bet your wife can't be happy with that you can't help out around the house. Yeah. Do you see what I'm doing? I'm connecting why he's in here and his back pain to what really matters to him the most. He don't give a crap about 50 more degrees. And he doesn't care about the get up and go exercise. That's our own crap that we have to do. Not to, I don't want to say, not to belittle it or whatever, but that's our own kind of secret toolbox. They don't care about that. They have their own very specific wants. Now, you might have to help them bring those out to the open of why they're really there. So when I work with a runner, I know a runner's not there because they want to go back to just running. It's more than that. They run with a group of people. It's the social. It's the bonding. You take that away, you're telling me that's not worth $2,000?
Right.
You're taking away. You're giving back their life. So the money, it's never about the money.
But that's how you sell it to them, is making them understand that. Right?
Yeah. I'm not selling them anything. What I'm doing is helping them, first of all, get clear in what they want. That's the first thing I'm doing. Clarity. It always starts with clarity. Once they're clear in what they want, I share, and Aaron, before this, we talked about that, so I'm going to kind of introduce this for everyone and kind of relate it to your current evaluation, because you could use this in your current evaluation. Just get really clear in what they want. Not the formal, why did you come in here today? Or did you fill out your sheets? You came in today for back pain, neck pain. But more than that, get down personal with them. And you can do that very quickly. It doesn't take a long time. I did my evals in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And the connection I had with 20 minutes, I think, was better than most people have being there for 10 sessions. Because I just got to the realness of it right away.
Right.
To why they were there. So once you get that clarity of why they're there, then you go after the challenges of why they're not already there yet. Okay, so you want to run. So why aren't you running? Well, my back hurts. Well, why is your back hurting? Well, it started here, it started there. So have you had it before? Yeah. Well, why does it keep coming back? Well, I don't know, Jamie. That's why I'm here. I go, no, what I mean is there anything that you're doing to bring your back upon? Well, you know, it happened like a year ago, and it's happening off and on. So basically, you're not doing anything to help your back. Okay, so it's not really that much of a shock why your back's still bothering you. No, it really isn't. So are you here for the quick fix? Because we can certainly give you a quick fix and get you out the door in a couple sessions. Or are you here to kind of fix this permanently so then you don't have to come in here and, I mean, you're not wasting my time because you're paying me, but you're kind of wasting your own time, and it's preventing you from doing all these things that you told me you just wanted. Mm-hmm. No, Jamie, no, I want to do this. I want to fix this permanently. I said, good. Because those are the people that I like to work with the most.
Right.
Look what I just did in that. Usually that takes 5-10 minutes. I clarified what they wanted, so now I know what they wanted. More importantly, now they know what they wanted. I also clarified why they don't have it yet. They chose not to do previous stuff, unless it's like a brand new injury. Mm-hmm. But most of us are dealing with repetitive types of injuries, right? So you're getting clear of why they're not where they should be. And they're now committing to wanting something more. There's only one more decision to make. I do my evaluation, I do my assessment, and now comes the plan. Basically, this is my pitch, so to speak, to use very bad words that in the marketing world. I basically tell them, here's what I do. Here's what the results are going to be. And here's what the investment's going to be to do it. You get to decide whether you want to do it or not.
Right.
And if not, that's cool. You don't have to. Do you see what happens? I am there to help them do one thing, and one thing only. And again, we're talking cash base. Insurance base, yeah, I would probably just put them off to another person. I like dealing with the people that are paying me directly. I always loved working with those people, because if they paid me, guess what they did? They showed up, they were engaged, they wanted it as much as you. When someone else was flipping the bill, even if it's like a copay or whatever, some of those people are tough to deal with, and they burn me out. So I would say my closing rate was about 99%. I mean, they would say, yeah, that makes sense. I said, cool. If you have any questions along the way, then that's cool too. But other than that, let's get started.
Right. Awesome.
Boom. Schedule all your visits. Here's the package. I suggest getting this product or whatever, like a ball, and let's get going. It was never about the money. The only person that it was about the money for was myself and my own thinking. Mm-hmm. For them, they just want what they want. They just want to know they can trust you that you're going to get it. And if you don't have confidence in what you do, and I think PTs as a whole do not have any confidence, but we do have big egos. We think we need constantly certifications and constantly more stuff. Trust me, you have everything that you need when you get out of school. If you spend all that time and energy instead of getting all your skills higher to get your communication skills better, you'd own the world.
Right.
So,
amen.
Amen, brother.
Preach it. That's awesome. No, that's really great.
Teaching.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's about, the clarity thing is huge. I mean, we all need to know what we want, where we want to go, and like I think you said, talking to other people or talking to ourselves doesn't always get us there. Listening to ourselves doesn't always get us there. No, and that's why the first thing, if you ask me, Jamie, what's the most important thing someone can do, and I said, get a mentor. Yeah. Get a coach, because you only know what you know, and without someone else helping you, guide you, and all that, no matter who it is, or even a program or something, just listening to someone,
gets you out of your own way. It's interesting, Aaron. We do that in our technical trade. We don't think twice that, of course, we had to go to school for 7 years, most of us. Of course, we have to take continuing education courses. Of course, we go to this conference and learn about this. But how much time and effort do we spend on ourselves and improving our own ability to actually build and run a business that delivers that, to communicate with a potential prospect and a client and learn how to do all this? Most of us don't spend anything, but then we complain that we don't have the results we want, and then we look and we justify that by saying it must be because people won't pay for my service, it's Obamacare, it's the place I live, it's doctors, it's hospital systems. We start to blame all of those people to justify, to make ourselves feel better, because God forbid we look in the mirror and say, it's your fault why we're here. So let's change it. And that's the beautiful part. You can change it in an instant.
Yeah.
But you have to have that desire. The same way that patient has to have that desire to want to work with you. You have to have that desire to want what you want in your practice. The semantics, they're really not that hard. But if you have the wrong thinking, that will just lead you to one bad decision after the next. That's why it took me 9 years after I made the decision to do it to get where I wanted to go, that everyone told me it couldn't happen. Because that was their thinking. It couldn't happen because they haven't done it yet. So it's really, I don't want to say it's that simple, but it really is that simple. What it's not is easy. Because we have egos, we have habits, we have a lot of things that make it difficult for us to do that. So. Right.
That's awesome. I got a couple other questions I want to ask, but I also want to let everyone listening, if you have any questions for Jamey, I got some time for some questions. So go ahead and enter them in the chat box. And I see there have been a few questions in the chat box, so I'm going to get to those in a second. Jamey, one of the things I want you to do is give me like your top one or like probably 2 or 3 ways that a practice owner can organize their business to run more efficiently.
Yeah, I always start bigger, then I go smaller. So the bigger thing is, it's hard for me to tell you how to run your practice more efficiently when you're not first cleared what is it that you're trying to do. I always hated this question when my mentors asked me this. Like, I would ask them a very simple question. Can you just give me the darn answer?
Right.
And they went, well, yeah, but I have no idea where you're trying to go with this. So the answer I give you, well, do you want to just stay small and see 20 people a week? Or do you want to have 3 locations? Because that's going to determine what you do right now. So that would be the first thing. What is it that you want? If anything was possible, what would you want, let's say, a year from now? If it was possible. Let's not get too carried away with, well, I don't know if I can do that. Relax. Just be creative. Dream like you did when you were a kid. What would you want a year from now? When you look back, look at where you are right now and look at what are the challenges you have in front of you, or the obstacles that are preventing you from getting there. So, under the question that you have about systems and organization, all right? So, what are the challenges you're facing right now? So, let's say, and this was one of my goals, I would like to be able to treat 3 days a week, and I would like to not have to come into the darn office the other 2 days, and I would, for everything, I would just like my weekends free. So, what am I doing now? Well, I'm treating not only 40 hours a week, but I'm answering millions of questions and I'm doing all this stuff. Well, treatment, I know I can bring in somebody else. Well, then I have to figure out how to afford the person. And that will lead to marketing. But for organization, I realize I answer the same questions over and over and over again. So what would have to happen for me not to answer my staff's questions? I'll create a system of how to do it. Well, what's the existing system we have? And what's ultimately I want the system to not look like, but the results to look like. See, what I used to do is focus so much about controlling the exact system. I don't do that anymore. What I do is saying, I want to have less than 8% cancellations, and I want to have 100% collections of copays and deductibles in any cash-based thing, and I want to make sure that when patients call our office, they get scheduled, and when they leave our office, their plan of care is fully scheduled out. That's my expectations, and everyone in my office is very clear on that.
Mm-hmm.
Then I ask them, how can we get to those results?
Right.
And they tell me, and they give me the result. They say, well, Jamey, the way we're doing it this way, I go, what do you suggest? And then it's about brainstorming and coming with a possible solution, not the end-all solution. Why? Because we're going to measure and see how it works. We're at 10%. Well, that's not 8%. What else can we do? Jamey, I'm having trouble handling objections. What kind of objections? Patients say, I don't have my schedule with me. What can we do to make sure they have their schedule? Well, I could send them a reminder. Yeah, why don't you do that? All of a sudden, we're below 8%. So, but that whole sequence, the doing part, remember we talked about the doing part of it, the execution? That part came because I knew what I wanted. And it took me a little time to figure out what I wanted. So give me a specific example, and I'll just walk you through exactly how to handle that situation. If you just give me a specific process or tip or something.
Example about running a practice more efficiently? Or are we back to that?
Yeah.
I guess saying something like,
what does that mean to you? What does running
mean?
a practice more efficiently mean? Because it's a very, remember, it's a vague word. You know what I could say? You know what you're going to hear from every other person out there in the world?
Yeah.
You got to put systems in place and processes. You don't think everyone knows that already?
Maybe some people don't. I mean, I certainly didn't get out of PT school.
No, it's not that they don't know it. It's that they have no idea how to implement it.
Right.
They could read a book and know how to know that they should do a system or a process, but how in their immediate way, inundated with a million things, how do they break away and breathe enough to start putting a system into place?
Right. Right. I think the big thing is the big question is, how do I compartmentalize my time to treating patients one day and working on the practice another day, doing that type of stuff?
See, now you're getting specific, because you're saying, okay, how do I make my business more efficient? Well, the first thing you have to do is utilize your time better.
Right.
And that's one of the first things that I would suggest doing. So when I was working 6 days a week treating, I was working every day treating plus Saturdays, and I was spending the next day and a half doing some type of business and busy work. I was basically working 7 days a week. And that was just no way to grow a business. So when I said I want to have a practice that's kind of, I call it my automated practice, but basically a practice that's self-managed, that doesn't require me physically there all the time, I said, what would have to happen? Well, I got to put things in place where people know how to do things. People know how to be empowered. Well, the first person that has to have time to do this is me. I'm the most important person in the company. Because if I'm overwhelmed and stressed, screw it. So I said, well, what the heck am I doing on the weekends? And I realized I was doing a lot of this financial stuff and kind of thinking about the business and maybe dreaming up some programs, doing some documentation. So I was like, all right, well, who else can help me do this? So that's when I started reaching out to bookkeeper.
Right.
I said, well, this is a waste of my time, and I'm much more valuable than hiring a bookkeeper, so I hired a bookkeeper. What happened? I removed an incredible amount of stuff off my plate, and then all of a sudden my weekends weren't that busy. The next thing I did is I started to reduce my schedule. Now people are like, well, wait a minute. If you reduce your schedule, a couple things are going to happen. A, how do you make money if you're not treating? B, how do you move patients over to someone else when they want to treat you? Well, again, it's how do you communicate with them? The patient is not there to be treated by you. The patient is there to get the result that they want from you. That's why they're there. So I just learned how to communicate. Look, so-and-so is great. She's the best at treating your back. In fact, she treats my back.
Right.
She is going to completely help you. I'm going to show her exactly what I've been doing with you. She's going to do that and then some. And you know what? If you have any problems or questions, just let me know. I've never had a patient either quit or drop out because of that. Never. And I've done this to a lot of people because they all, I was confident in the PT. and B, they all actually said, Jamey, this person's great. Because when I worked with him, my mind was all over the place.
I think that's huge. I don't mean to interrupt your thought.
No. I can keep talking. You know that you have to interrupt.
That's a huge point for cash-based PT in that, how do I replace myself? One of my other mentors and clinical instructors told me, he's like, Aaron, you'll never replace yourself. And he was also a really masterful person at passing off patients, because everyone wanted to see Alan. And if I hire someone, but they're going to want to just come see me and not the other persons, how do we instill confidence in our patients to do that type of
let me say one thing, because I want to finish this so people can grab it. So that was how I moved along patients. Another thing I did with patients is I just condensed my schedule. I didn't go from 6.5 days a week to none. I went 6.5 days a week to 6 days, or to 5 days a week. Then I went to 4 days a week. Then I went to 3 days a week. Then I went to 3 half days a week. So I did it little by little. I realized I could have done it just faster, but I did it little by little. So when I was there treating, I treated all day. I worked 10 hours and treated all day. So in fact, I was actually treating the same number of people than I did scattered and spread out through an entire week. Plus what happened was, when I treated, everyone knew not to bother me. I was in my flow, man. I just treated. I had the whole thing figured out. I knew how to do all of it. But when I was not treating, I bought back time to do administrative stuff, to do some other things, to spend time marketing and thinking about my business, not being interrupted with patient care. So that's the first thing that I would do, is start looking at your schedule. And then everything else becomes a problem. And guess what we do for a living? We solve problems. That's what we do. That's really all we do for a living, is we solve problems. But we have to look at the challenges and the problems we have in our own practice. It's just a problem. But when you want what you want, it's not if you're going to get that patient to go somewhere else. It's just how you're going to do it. The implementation becomes the challenge, not the decision. We spend lots of time in decision-making mode because we don't commit to actually what we want to do because of fear or perfection or whatever it is. Once you decide to do it, then spend all your time just figuring out how you're going to do it. So that's the thing that I would do first, is look at your own schedule, create full days of different tasks. I split it up to treatment days, administrative / marketing days, and what I call days off or free days. That's the first thing. That's the first thing that I would do. After that, it just comes down to, not during your treatment days, but during your admin days, when you really have time to defrag and think, what challenge, one challenge, not 50, pick one. What's the next thing that you want to get off your plate? Always look at yourself as the person that has to get their time free. So I started with bookkeeping. Then I said, why am I answering the phones anymore? I'm the owner of the business. I don't answer my own phones. I don't schedule people. This forced me to then come up with the systems I have in place. So by me giving someone my system, which everyone always wants, Jamey, can I have your system of how you do this? Without the mindset and without their vision, the system's not going to work the same. Believe me, you don't want my exact system. What you want is the thought process of how I did it, so then you can freaking own it and apply it to any aspect of your business. This is one of the challenges that we have PTs have, is there's so many freaking strategies out there that we're trying to buy the strategy to put in the clinic so we can continue to work in our business doing things, instead of stepping out of our business and looking at how to build the whole business without being the person that does everything in it. That is a quantum mindset shift that literally can shift back or shift differently in a matter of seconds. Hopefully somebody might be thinking that it's shifted now.
That's awesome, Jamey. Like, that's huge. So thank you so much. Can you, I get a little feedback. Can you turn your volume down?
Me?
Yeah.
Maybe I should stop yelling.
Yeah, no. But okay, I just wanted to, before everyone leaves, it's closing on 2 o'clock. Jamey, just tell everyone how they can get in touch with you. And the other thing I've done, I put up a little free video training that you offer called the 3 Simple Steps to Your Build Your Dream Practice. So if you guys want to get more of Jamey's info, click on that. But Jamey, tell us where can we find you? Like Twitter, your blog, LinkedIn, etc. Where are you online?
Yeah, so just real quick, the 3 simple steps, that's something that basically a lot of the principles that I just shared with you here is in that. I share a lot of that mindset stuff, so it's just a freebie that you can get, give you some good stuff. You know, really with me, if I said something that resonated with you, or if you just want to explore the possibility of, well, how do I really start doing this, and if you're serious about it, then I would say just reach out to me at jameys@myelitecoach. Just shoot me an email, and you know, if I can help you, I will. I'm not sure if I can. I'm not for everybody, and everyone's not for me, but I certainly will. If you just want to follow me, you can go to my website, jameyschrier.com, Facebook/Jamey Schrier, Twitter, Jamey Schrier. Everything's the same name. So if you punch it up, you'll get me in a lot of different ways. LinkedIn the same way. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to hear your feedback. I'd love to connect with you personally, just to get that engagement. This is what I do. I love this more than anything else. As you can tell, I just love helping people see that there's a better way to do something, and there's no question that you can do this and get whatever it is that you want.
Awesome. So awesome. I've learned a ton, and thank you very much for being here. And I don't know, Jamey, all I can say is that was huge, and I've learned a bit, and it's taken me a while to process it all. So thank you for dropping the knowledge bomb. And I'm gonna have to have you back at some point, or do some more talking with you. Everyone who showed up today, thank you guys for joining the CashPT Lunch Hour. If you have any more questions for Jamey, shoot him an email at jameys@myelitecoach. You can also send them to the blog, and I'll post the link to the videos, books that Jamey mentioned, and other resources. So thanks again. Have a great day. And from Aaron, LeBauer, and Schrier, work on your business, not just in it. Peace.